There are a lot of great games for the Sega Genesis, and there's a lot of bad games too. But even worse than that are aggressively bad games. Games that are so bad it seems as if the developer made it bad on purpose. A game that makes you want to put your head through a wall in a fit of total rage, where you are immediately frustrated and lose 10 IQ points just for playing it. So for this video, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to rank these aggressively bad games from best to worst. But before I do that, let's show some honorable mentions, starting with Action 52. As you probably know, this is an unlicensed collection of minigames that tried to fool buyers into thinking they were getting 52 awesome games on one cartridge. There's absolutely nothing redeeming about this game whatsoever. Well, aside from the curiosity. Most of these games use the same assets like graphics and music. And a lot of them even repeat the genres. I mean, it seems like about half of the games are shooters. So yeah, I really do dislike this game, but it didn't make me angry because it doesn't really pretend to be good like many of the other games on this list. It's really just a cheesy time killer. The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. This is based on the cartoon that practically no one remembers today, just us geezers. This one is actually kind of similar to Action 52. There's the main game where you play as Bullwinkle climbing a mountain and collecting acorns to throw at enemies. I think you're supposed to get the flags, but they're on these tiny little ledges and they're impossible to jump on. This part isn't super terrible, I just couldn't get past it. Then there's a couple of minigames. One where you play as Sherman blowing bubbles into the dragon's mouth. And then there's this other one where you're Dudley Do-Right riding horse. Yeah, that's his name. And you're trying to stay ahead of this train. This game is not at all good in any way, but at least they tried. Awesome Possum.
I'm awesome.
Credit for the term aggressively bad goes to Ben_H on GiantBomb.com when he mentioned this game. And yeah, it's pretty bad. The character is hard to control, the voice is annoying, but it can be turned off. The level design is awful and I'm sure it repeats over and over. And worst of all, the collision sucks. Oh, and I love how he exclaims, "I'm so healthy!" after getting a health power-up only to drink 5 Cokes right afterwards. This game is aimed at kids, and I'm pretty sure they all hated it too.
Good one.
Bubsy, Claws Encounters of the Furred Kind. This side-scrolling platformer is also hard to control and has annoying voices. Did Accolade consult Tengen on how to make a bad platformer or something? Admittedly, the graphics are pretty nice, but the worst thing about this game is the speed of the character coupled with the one-hit deaths. Oh, and the level design is atrocious. How am I supposed to get past this part? Screw you, Bubsy.
Well, are you still playing this thing?
Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Okay, this is another kid's game, and it's pretty easy on cheat mode. I imagine it's really annoying otherwise, though. This one has you playing as the Planeteers, who set off on different missions. Essentially, all you gotta do is just get to the boss and beat him. Some of the stage designs are confusing and graphically uninteresting. I didn't think this was a terrible game, just very lackluster. Double Dragon. The biggest problem with this one is that the speed of the game is just too fast. The enemies chase you all over the screen, barely giving you time to get your bearings. The best attack is the elbow smash because the punches and kicks are just too slow to knock down an enemy, giving the other enemies time to get you. In addition to the super fast gameplay is the awful music. It's incredibly grating on my ears. Ugh. It really bums me out that this game isn't better. The Genesis should have been able to do an arcade-perfect port of Double Dragon. Ernest Evans. Here's one that sometimes gets brought up as a bad Genesis game. And aside from the weird player movement and difficulty in getting him to do what I want, it's really not all that bad. In fact, I kind of had fun with it. It feels a lot like what I would expect an Indiana Jones game to be. Sometimes you must climb the walls to continue a level. Using the whip is pretty fun, and it's hilarious to see objects explode when you hit them. Luckily, the stages are short, and you'll get to a boss rather quickly. Anyway, it's not a terrible game, it just has an awkward looking and moving character. Ex-Mutants. Another supposedly bad game that I was kind of digging, actually. It has some good graphics with several layers of parallax in the background. The animation is pretty good, as is the music. So is there anything that I actually find bad about this game? Well, I guess the enemies are a little tough to beat sometimes, and it could use a bit more polish. But otherwise, I think this game is not that awful in my book. So long, sucker. Fantasia. Why does this one appear on so many worst games lists, I thought? Isn't this a sequel to Castle of Illusion? Or at least it's in the same genre, right? It features Mickey Mouse in one of his more famous roles, but it can't hold a candle to the Illusion games. First of all, your attacks are very limited. You have to find books to replenish them. So dumb. How can I even get through a single stage without a way to attack? Also, that one attack that you start off with is gone once you use it and you lose a life. You don't get a new one when you have to start over? That's ridiculous. And there's just so many enemies on the screen. This is not fair. I think this game was meant for kids, but what were they thinking making it so hard? Rastan Saga 2. A sequel to the classic Rastan, this one feels, I don't know, a little janky. Honestly, I'd put this in the so bad it's good category. The creature designs are kind of cool, but the graphics are very lame. I can't stand how they use repeating blocks over and over again. That just seems very lazy. But then again, that is pretty accurate to the arcade machine, so I can't really blame this port. I like the hack-em-up gameplay, but otherwise, no. Shaq-Fu. This is one that's always mentioned in the worst of lists, but let's break this one down, shall we? The graphics look really exceptional. There's line scrolling on the ground, and the backgrounds are very creative. The character animation is very detailed and smooth, even if they're very small. The music and sound effects are mediocre. Nothing special here, but not awful. Okay, so what about the gameplay? Yep, that's the problem. The jumping is very floaty, but the walking is incredibly slow. Also, the general speed of the game, I don't know, it just feels off. It's too fast or something, and honestly, it makes the game not fun at all. Strider Returns, Journey from Darkness. I've seen this one appear on several lists too, but the gameplay isn't really as bad as I thought. It is pretty fun slashing the enemies, but man, that knockback is ridiculous. That bit is frustrating because it's hard making progress in this stage. The graphics are bland, some stage design is annoying, and the music is very hard on the ears. Okay, never mind. This one is pretty bad after all. Sword of Sodan. Another one I remember seeing in EGM magazine thinking, this game looks awesome! Well, now that I've played it, I've learned that looks can be deceiving. You play as a buff swordsman or woman, battling enemies with your, well, sword. I mean, you're a swordsman. I guess you gotta use a sword, right? Depending on how you hold the control pad when pressing C, your character will swing that sword differently. I find that just standing there works the best. You jump by pressing B and turn around by pressing B in the direction you want to face. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Why can't I just face in the direction I'm moving? To use a potion, you have to press start to pause, select your potion, press start again, and then press A to use it. Again, very weird. The enemies are tough to kill, even on easy. This might have been better if you could take them out with 1 or 2 slashes rather than 10 apiece. Gee, man, Christmas. Technocop. Oof, another great early Genesis game. I think this was going for a RoboCop vibe, but they couldn't use that name, could they? You drive along the beautiful countryside, avoiding enemy cars that do little more than get in your way. Come on, get out of here. Sometimes you can blast them with your guns, but it doesn't always seem to work. Then you get out of your car, still in the countryside mind you, in order to enter a dilapidated building swarming with thugs. I guess driving through a city was just too hard to program. Anyway, this part is okay, except for the time limit is too short. The animation is a little choppy, but dang, I really love that quivering blob of goo you turn your enemies into. That's awesome. Finally, check out the character's humongous jump. I think he should have been in track and field instead of this game. Okay, now let's get into the games that are aggressively terrible, garbage, and trash. We'll go from best to worst, starting with number 16, Batman Forever. A side-scrolling beat-em-up that uses Mortal Kombat style controls. You know the deal, high and low punches along with high and low kicks. That part is fine with the 6-button controller, but totally ridiculous with the 3-button. The enemies start off pretty easy and then quickly get tough. I can only imagine them getting worse later on. Other controls like using the grappling hook or jumping down a platform, it's a pain in the butt. Oh, and using Batman's gadgets, it's like trying to pull off more Mortal Kombat moves. Down, down, B, for example. I gotta tell you, the complex controls is what really hurt this game. Number 15, Time Killers. This arcade port is a weapons-based fighting game with over-the-top blood and gore. Certainly they were hoping to appeal to Mortal Kombat fans, but the effect is totally lost because the characters are cartoons. Controls are very unresponsive. I'm pressing the buttons and it's just so delayed, I'm not sure if that button did anything. Enemy AI is totally unfair and will take advantage of your inability to do anything at all. The music is abysmal and glitchy and painful to the ears. Oh, make it stop. The static and boring graphics look like they were made with Microsoft Paint on a 1987 VGA computer, which is probably not far off. The blood and gore just isn't enough to make this game interesting. Number 14, Toys. I love Robin Williams, but I have never seen this movie, and this is the first time I played this game, and woof, is it really bad. You basically just wander around the building shooting toy tanks, bombs, and jeeps with water balloons, peanuts, and tops. What? I thought, surely this can't be the whole game. I should try some other stages, but nope, that's it. From what I've seen, only the last stage is different. Trying to hit the enemies is challenging to say the least. Targeting is really bad, and the 3D isometric view doesn't help. And there's just something about the graphics and the sound that just makes me ill. I couldn't keep playing this game anymore, I just had to quit. Ugh. Number 13, Fighting Masters. Let's start with the controls in this one. Your buttons consist of pressing B to attack and C to jump. That's it. Based on what I've read, I don't think each character has any unique special moves, but the attack is different for each. They also have drop kicks and grabs and stuff like that, but heck, I don't know how to pull those off. I think I just got lucky most of the time. The sounds are terrible, but the winning sound is a special kind of awful. Who wants to win if that's what your ears are treated to? Come on. This entire game just feels really janky and unbalanced. This is just an exercise in randomly hitting buttons and hoping that something will work. Number 12, Wayne's World. So, what is the premise of this game? Just randomly wandering a music store stage that looks like it was created by hurling all over the screen? Good lord. You can strum the guitar to attack bagpipes, horns, other instruments. Is this supposed to be some kind of a nightmare or something? You also die instantly if you touch those electrical pulses. Very frustrating. This is also a multi-story music store, and the only way to get up there is to jump on the drums. How does anything in this game make any sense? The music is some of the worst I have ever heard when it should be good for a game like this. I had little interest in getting to the later stages, but I understand they're just as awful as this one. I'm happy to not be worthy of this game. Number 11, Rise of the Robots. Ugh, I can't even beat the first opponent in this game, and I even set it to easy. I thought maybe I needed to use some special moves to beat him, so I looked them all up, and surprise, surprise, they're practically impossible to pull off. I tried over and over, and I maybe got 1 to work out of 6 tries. And that's if the opponent will give you a chance to even try one. They are incredibly aggressive. Every opponent I tried in training mode was all over me the entire match. Oh, and training mode, by the way, is a joke. You'd think it would give you a chance to learn the moves, but it's just as bad as story mode. I pray to Sonic that this is the last time I ever have to play this game. Number 10, Ballz. I noticed I have a lot of fighting games on my list, and I think that's for 2 reasons. Number 1, games before Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 were experimental and couldn't come up with proper controls. Number 2, games after Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 rushed to copy those games and just totally missed the mark. Ballz seems to fall into the latter category. It feels like the developers were trying to take a shortcut by using these 3D ball things for the characters, and frankly, it just doesn't work. The controls are terrible, the movement is weird, and the sounds and music make me want to punch the screen. Shut up already! Ugh. At least they got one thing right, though. This game is appropriately named because it is totally balls. Number 9, Bubsy 2. Now you would think this must be better than the original bad game because the developers would learn from their past mistakes, right? Wrong. This game is even worse than Bubsy 1. First of all, Bubsy exists in two states of motion, either too fast or dead stop. Trying to avoid enemies with this speed is very difficult. You can inch forward little by little, but where's the fun in that? Also, the stage design is ridiculously terrible. It's also random and gives off the "where the heck do I go" vibe. I don't know about you, but being perpetually lost is just no fun at all. Oh, and lest I forget Bubsy's commentary, it's about as lame as it gets.
Nothing can stop me now. Do you believe in miracles? I like it. Keep this under wraps. Is the writer's strike over yet? Is there a doctor in the house?
Thank goodness that the Toot era is over.
Bye-bye.
Number 8, Last Action Hero. My notes for this one begin and end with F this game in all caps. I despise this game so much. You'd think that it would be pretty cool as a fighting game, but no, it's not. You see, the enemies just don't give you much of a chance. Or maybe it's the controls that don't give you much of a chance. Yeah, either one, I don't care. The hit detection is so specific, you have to hit the enemies just right. And that's nearly impossible because they're constantly trying to hit you with a bat or a knife. I tried and tried, but I couldn't get past the first stage. So let me say it again, F this game. Number 7, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Let's address the elephant in the video. Where is the Terminator music? Why is the music here so upbeat and scratchy? That totally does not fit for a Terminator game. You know what also doesn't fit? The fact that these biker bozos can kill a Terminator. That's absolutely ridiculous. After finding the items from the future and John Connor's address, you must figure out the controls for a motorcycle while following the map. So then I got to John's house looking for his photo and the stupid T-1000 shows up and attacks me. All the while this extremely irritating alarm is going off the entire time. Because yeah, that's what you want to do. Irritate the player into getting them to quit. Ugh, stupid game. Number 6, X-Perts. This one appears to be a fighting and exploration game, not unlike Batman Forever. Does that mean that these two types of games just don't work and shouldn't be attempted? I don't know, maybe. The pre-rendered characters look, strange? I don't know, like they're made of rubber or something. They kind of remind me of the Small Soldiers from that movie, Small Soldiers? The controls are confusing for me. I looked at the manual and apparently you have to press multiple buttons to make things work. Something like B plus C will activate a system. How is that intuitive? What's wrong with just walking up to a computer and pressing up? I commend anyone who has the patience to play this game. That's gotta be what, 3 people? Number 5, Back to the Future Part 3. So I already knew this game would be trash before it was even released on the Genesis and Mega Drive. You see, it was already critically panned for the Atari ST and Amiga computers, and this is nothing more than a port of that game. First of all, look at the graphics. Why are they so freaking dark? The initial frustrating horse riding stage is one I bet most people don't even get past. Then a side mission of a shooting gallery that has little bearing on the story. Next you have a pie throwing stage where the aiming is totally awful. And then finally a train stage where I think you just have to get to the end? I don't know, I wasn't able to complete any of these stages. I just used a code so I could show you what they look like. You know, I'm really sad because Back to the Future is such a great movie series, it really deserved to have at least one really good game. Number 4, Beast Wrestler. Okay, I could get behind the idea of this game. Monsters in a wrestling match? Why not? King of the Monsters is pretty good. Unlike that game, this one is in an actual wrestling ring with teeny tiny spectators. The pace of the game is incredibly slow. When you grapple the opponent, or he grapples you, nothing really happens for several seconds. Some weird creepy sound effects are audible as you try to get out of it though, and honestly, that never works, so what's the point of even trying? The hit detection is atrocious. You have to be in an exact right spot to make contact with your opponent. That and the controls that are just very confusing make this one not even worth the silicon it's printed on. Slaughtersport.
Welcome to the Fight Palace.
This is another one that started off as a computer game. There it was called Tongue of the Fatman. Great title, huh? So who is the Fatman anyway? Some kind of Jabba the Hutt ripoff? Let me tell you up front that I can't even get past the first stage in this game. The opponent is right on top of me and won't give me a freaking chance. The controls are really weird. If I get punched, my character gets up facing the opposite direction, and then I can't really turn around before my opponent is attacking me again. Come on. And when I'm able to throw a punch or a kick, it doesn't do much damage, if it even actually lands. There's no way in any universe that this game isn't total garbage. By far the worst fighting game I have ever played. If only I could do a Mortal Kombat finishing move on this game. Number 2, Dark Castle. You are now thinking, what could possibly be worse than Dark Castle? Oh, you'll find out. In Dark Castle, you are on a quest to defeat Ganon, the Dark Knight. Fortunately, you have really amazing controls, making you feel as though you were really there. And by amazing, I mean total garbage. To throw a rock or whatever, you press C, but then you have to aim by moving the controller up or down. In order to duck, you press down, right? That's what you would think. But no, not at all. You press B, naturally.
Yeah.
Then if you want to do some ridiculous looking long jump, you press the C button. Also, how the heck is this weakling character supposed to defeat the Dark Knight? He dies if he so much looks at a rat. I find this game to be practically unplayable, but I heard the Macintosh version is, quote, perhaps the best arcade game I've seen on any microcomputer ever, according to Computer Gaming World magazine. I guess they'd never heard of Pac-Man before. Alright, let's finally discuss my number 1 aggressively bad game, and that is Super Hydlide. First of all, I'm not a fan of RPG games, but there are some that I can get behind. You know, Zelda, Willow, Phantasy Star, Dragon Warrior, Dungeon Master, and others. But this game's small and choppy character movement and inappropriate happy music make me want to shut it off immediately. I can't believe I lasted long enough to even capture this footage. I don't see anyone ever wanting to come back to this game and play it again. That's assuming they didn't use it for target practice. I don't have much more to say about this game. I hated it the moment I booted it up. But if you like it, yeah, I'm gonna say it. You're weird. So that's gonna do it. The most aggressively bad Sega Genesis games ever made. But let me know, which games did you want to smash in a fit of anger for being trash? Please let me know down in the comments. Until then, I want to thank you for enduring this episode. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye, everyone.